Hello, hello. We are here for the Supreme 7-Star Draft League Season 7 awards. Quicker turnaround this time. And yeah, we're just going to get going. Let's see how much of this we can get through. So looking at the final standings of the regular season, we have me on top at 7-1. Ryan, Sam, Frank, Log, Abashta, Weisher, and Barrett were our playoff coaches this season. Thank you to everyone who played once again. Another great season. One of my favorite seasons ever of Supreme 7-Star. I think the format was pretty banger, pretty fun, open to doing this type of thing in the future. Probably not for a little bit, and we've got big plans for SSSDL coming up soon, so stick around for all of that. But thank you guys for another fantastic season, as always. The best draft league in the world, and the best draft community in the world. Looking at our top kill leaders, John's Enamorous leads the way at 14-4, leading the league with 14 KOs. We've got 9 Pokemon with 10 KOs or more, and just eyeballing here in the top 20, we've got 4 Pokemon with 1,000 damage or more done. It's pretty cool stuff, but Enamorous has not twice been a kill leader, right? It was just shy of being kill leader in Season 3 behind Wisdom's Ursaluna, but Enamorous gets its run back, and John brings it to be number 1 on the kill board. So, pretty cool. Congrats, John. Good stuff. And I believe that means we're getting straight into the teams. So we're starting off with all defensive first team. We've got Pecharunt from Abashta's Hearthhome Haunters making its 3rd appearance. Alomomola from Samkey's Ghost City Go-Goats making its 3rd appearance. Galarian Slowking from Samkey's Ghost City Go-Goats making its 5th appearance in 7 seasons, and one of those it couldn't play in. Mandibuzz from Log's Liverpool Pokemon Club making its 1st appearance. Mega Venusaur from Ryan's Regice Spice making its 3rd appearance. And Taro Rhydon from Jaden's Pearl City Pink Urchins making its 1st all defensive first team appearance. All these Pokemon, I think you look at them, they all kind of stand out as those bulky centerpiece Pokemon, except maybe Rhydon. Rhydon does make it here because it was just such a pivotal, important defensive piece. It played just as many, if not more games than every single other Pokemon here. And it being a Terra Captain was crucial to my team's longevity. All these other Pokemon, though, you really look at them, you know what they did. You know what Pecharunt did. You know what Aloe did. So yeah, that's why they all make it here. And we've got the all defensive second team coming up. We've got Great Tusk from Frank's Richmond Rhyperiors making its 1st ever all defensive appearance. We've got Goldango from Samish's Ecruteak Big Nuggets. We've got Slowking from Jaden's Pearl City Pink Urchins making its 2nd all defensive appearance. We've got Blastoise from Barrett's Dirtmouth Dustox. We've got Necrozma from Log's Liverpool Pokemon Club, and we've got Gligar from Haxon's Dark Continent Decidueyes. The only other Terra Captain to make it on the all-defensive teams, Gligar and Rhydon. Let me know what you guys thought about the Terra this season. I think it was actually one of my favorites in terms of... obviously, I think there was a couple things that got left a little unchecked, like Torterra. But overall, I think the balance of the Terra Captains, they were all a little lower tier, and thusly they weren't kind of running the game as much. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. So I think if we do keep Terra in future seasons, that's something I'd personally like to see, but I always want to know what your guys' input is on that as well. But yeah, so Gligar and Rhydon, both ground types, I believe they both came from the ground type box as well, are the guys to make the all defensive teams as Terras. I thought it was pretty interesting that Great Tusk and Goldango are making just their 1st appearance on all defensive. I guess because Tusk has just naturally fallen into a more offensive role typically, but definitely pretty interesting to me. Moving on to the all SSSDL teams, reminder there is no ordering besides 1st, 2nd, and 3rd team. Within that, it's just random. And yeah. So we'll get into it. What are the 18 best Pokemon from this season? Starting with Mega Lopunny from Jaden's Pearl City Pink Urchins making its 3rd all SSSDL performance. Galarian Slowking from Samkey's Ghost City Go-Goats making its third All-SSSDL performance. Enamorous from John's Edmonton Emolgas, also making its third. Terra Torterra from Samkey's Go City Go-Goats, making its first appearance. Chi-Yu from Ryan's Red Eye Spice, also making its third appearance. And Scolipede from Jaden's Pearl City Pink Urchins will make its second appearance on All-SSSDL. Pretty interesting here that we have 4 guys who have made it 3 times. You start to rack up some seasons and kind of realize that the same stuff is usually pretty good. Enamorous was obviously the Season 3 MVP. Galarian Slowking coming off of a Defensive Player of the Year season. Chi-Yu's had a couple good seasons. Scolipede made it when it was with Daryl with Squidward in Season 3. And Megaloponis had a couple good seasons as well. Torterra, I believe Torterra had only been drafted once before, and it was last season. It was also a Terra Cap with Ryan, so what does that say about the Ryan versus Samkey conversation? At least in terms of managing a Torterra? Who knows? Who knows? It's not for me to speculate on. Moving on to the second team, we've got Mega Venusaur from Ryan's Red Eye Spice, Volcarona from Abashta's Hearthome Haunters, Tapu Koko from Logs Liverpool Pokemon Club, making its second appearance. Non-Terra Swellow from Wisdom/Chickadee's Atlanta Braviaries, making its first appearance. Grimmsnarl from Y-Stream's Aussie Arcanines. And Spectria rounds us out from Frank's Richmond Rhyperiors. Second appearance there, by the way. Yeah, I think all pretty cool picks here for All-SSSDL's second team. I pretty unique cast across the board, only 2 of them making a multiple appearance. I think there's a couple things I want to shout out. Mega Venusaur only played 5 games this season, was fantastic in those games. 100% could have been an MVP candidate if it just got a couple more games in there. Volcarona did its thing. It was very threatening in a lot of games it played. Coco obviously coming off a fantastic playoff appearance, but we'll get into that a little more later. Swellow, I think it's pretty cool for Swellow to be here. I used Terra Swellow last season and I couldn't even will it to All-SSSDL. I think mine also had 10 KOs, but there was too much competition that season. Swellow though here, I believe, was like 6th on the kill leaderboard, which is pretty cool, especially for a non-Terra appearance. I think that's pretty indicative of something cool going on there. And then Grimmsnarl, I think definitely worth shouting out as well. Y-Stream had just a hodgepodge, weird-ass team. Some would say bad, some would say interesting. Not for me to speculate on either. But he used Grimmsnarl, I think, pretty coolly. It was a little bit of a mix of offensive, defensive, utility, but more offensive than I've seen a Grimmsnarl run in quite a long time. There was a couple of choice band weeks, there was a couple of just adamant weeks, and that's kind of part of why it ends up here. Pretty dominant performances and helped lead this Aussie Arcanine team to their playoff debut. And yeah, Spectre 2, pretty cool. All-SSSDL third team, we've got Iron Bundle from Samish's Ecritique Big Nuggets, third appearance. Iron Bundle and Boulder right next to each other. Probably shouldn't have done that, I knew I'd misspeak. But Iron Boulder from McGriddles' Bronx Bombers. Terra Sigilif from Frank's Richmond Rhyperiors. Ogerpon Cornerstone from Haxton's Dark Continent Decidueyes, making its second appearance. Terra Steelix from Barrett's Dirtmouth Dustox. And Meowscarada from Samkey's Go City Go-Goats makes its second All-SSSDL performance. Pretty interesting stuff here too. Iron Boulder, first appearance. I think Iron Boulder's been pretty fraudulent for the majority of its career, but puts up a very solid performance here. Ogerpon Cornerstone was the Season 2, I believe, first ever Rookie of the Year when it was with Abashta in Hearthome. And here it is with Haxton, staying in Canada, and has another pretty solid season. Terra Steelix, one of the lowest tier Pokemon to appear on an All-SSSDL team this season. I wonder how that ranks all time. Might have to make a statistic for that later. Someone remind me, please. I also think it's pretty interesting that Meowscarada is only making its second appearance. It is factually now the all-time kill leader in Supreme 7-Star Draft League history, including playoffs. Honestly, regular season is probably pretty close too. I think it's like top 3 or 4 because it gets drafted almost every season. And usually does pretty well, but This will just be the second time it is making here. I believe it made it with Ryan, maybe even last season? Don't quote me on that one, my bad, gang. Yeah, and that's our all SSSDL teams. Pretty interesting stuff. Let me know if you think there were any major snubs this season. It's always tough to make these teams, picking between straws, picking between, you know, hate giving Samke his third Pokemon on the team, but it went 7-1, had a pretty good stat line, contributed to a very winning team. I try and contribute stats as well as the leadership you have on a team, as well as your winning. I think winning is important, particularly for all SSSDL, which is why some coaches get a few more than others, because I just think there's a little bit of a snowball effect there. But yeah, overall, I think all SSSDL is a privilege, even to be on the third team. It's a privilege to have a Pokemon make it there, and you should be proud, no matter if you had one, no matter if you had three. Moving on to our individual awards, we've got a few, and let me know if you want to add any more individual awards. I was kind of thinking, I feel like there's maybe room for a few more, or maybe less. I don't know. Anyways, starting off, we've got the Terra Captain of the Year award. Your nominees are Terra Steelix from Baird's Dirtmouth Dustox, Terra Torterra from Samke's Ghost City Go-Goats, and Terra Sigilif from Frank's Richmond Rhyperiors. All three of these made all SSSDL. You can see their stats down here. Steelix hit 1k damage, Torterra as well. Torterra leads this squad with 12 KOs and 6 wins as well. Sigilif goes 4 for 5 in the games it played. Guess who it lost to? Sigilif also with a pretty interesting 730 damage taken. Actually, all of these guys took more damage than you'd expect based on their death numbers. So pretty cool. But your Terra Captain of the Year is going to be Torterra. He's got it in the name, so had to, right? No, I think this one was pretty much a giveaway. I think I probably should not have allowed Terra Torterra in this format. Oops, because I think Sam already had a pretty loaded team in terms of point value, and the Terra Torterra doesn't even contribute to whatever his point value was. That's normally like a 9-pointer, 10-pointer, 11-pointer. I don't know, but it was only like a 4-pointer here. So, oops. But Sam played it well, right? Like I was saying, he used it both offensively and defensively to put together some really interesting stuff, whether it was Shell Smash, whether it was just Synthesis, Hazards, getting Chip. Torterra did a lot of things this season, and it contributed in every game it played. So shout out to Sam for managing a solid Terra Captain this season, good enough to be the best of the season. Moving on, our next award, we've got LVP, Least Valuable Pokemon of the Year. Your nominees: Mega Sableye from Wisdom/Chickadee, Blaziken from Tony Two Cannons, Greninja from Steven's Little Rock, Lycanroc. Couple of big stinkers here. The Punnett Square decisions. You're looking at Mega Sableye, 5 games played, 5 deaths, 2 wins. Not fantastic. 93% damage it's pretty impressive for 5 games. Took 751 damage, which is notable. Blaziken, 6 games, 6 deaths, 600 taken. Not always a great start. Greninja just got the same exact thing going on over there. 300% damage, 2 kills, and 1 win in those 6 games for a high tier. Pretty brutal. And I mean, the exact same thing can be said about Greninja. 6 games, 2 wins. Yikes. Pretty rough contenders here. Greninja, former MVP as well. Definitely a disappointment here. Blaziken, I don't know if Blaziken's ever really performed. Maybe Blaziken's a fraud. I don't know. What do you guys think about Blaziken overall? But LVPs will have their points dropped in future seasons. So if you like the opportunity, if you think you can coach these Pokemon better, make a stab at it next season. It could even be the same coaches. Maybe you make the stab at it next season and you prove them different. But your loser for LVP, the least valuable of the year, it's going to go to Tony Two Cannons, Toronto Two Cannon, Blaziken. coming in with that 2-6 stat line on 1 win. Wins the Iron Leaves least valuable pooper of the year. Yeah, so unfortunate the Blaziken wasn't able to pull it off. I think being paired with Palafin on the team is especially kind of unfortunate because they're both checked by pretty similar things. If you're bringing a Palafin check, more often than not, it's most teams are bringing a pretty bulky water or a Terra bulky water to check it, and Blaziken struggles breaking it with the same things. And even worse, their best secondary coverage is kind of the same. Blaziken obviously fighting stab, and Palafin likes to run those bulk up drain punch CC sets. So you know, people can check them with bulky fairies as well. Primarina checks both of them pretty well. Tapu Fini, stuff like that. And so I think that made it really hard for Blaziken to have a good season. So I don't blame Tony too bad. But it was a pretty stinky stat line, so that's what ends you up here. Next, we've got the Fan Favorite Award. This one's been pretty fun as it's evolved. Oh my god, I didn't change Arctibax from 15 kills. It's 5. You could pretend it's 15 if you want for this award. Yeah, we've got Ystream's Arctibax, we've got Barrett's Steelix, and we've got Tony's Mega Heracross. Yeah, the stats don't really matter here, but you can take a gander at them if you'd like. This was all determined by fan voting. You guys submitted ballots for a first, a second, and a third place. I also want to make it clear for next season, I got to do a better job. Maybe I misworded some things. I did put it in bold on the form, but I'll put it in the Discord message next time. We're not allowed to vote for our own Pokemon, because I think that's kind of lame. In a situation like this. And other stuff, I like having you guys nominate your own stuff because you have perspective on how well it actually did for you. But for fan favorite, this is all just about what the fans think. I want to know what the rest of the league cooperatively thinks is the coolest thing. You know, it doesn't have to be the best. It just has to be what you were interested in seeing play every week. And so I did have to disqualify probably like 5 votes. Overall, which was pretty interesting. I only disqualified the 1 vote you put in for your own Pokemon, so the rest of your ballot still remains completely fine, so don't sweat that. But the winner for fan favorite is going to be Tony Two Cannons Mega Heracross Thug Bug himself. I think was pretty runaway here. People loved the Mega Heracross, always a sleeper. It was a rookie. It had never been played in SSSDL before. And so I think that was a big alert to people, and it had a pop-off week 1. And Tony built around it a lot and did some pretty cool stuff with it. I liked Mega Heracross a lot this season as well. And I'm actually going to show the rest of the voting as well, not who did them, but what the results were. You can see Mega Heracross pretty much ran away with this one. Steelix made a good run at second, and then Arctibax just barely has third place over Rhydon and Torterra. Omastar also receiving a notable amount of notes, and then you can check out the rest, see if there's anything interesting here, any of your guys. Yeah, but big ups, shout out to Tony, makes up for the LVP with the fan favorite, the combo. Our next award, man, we've been going for like 17 minutes already. All right, Heat of the Year, Ystream's Deoxys Defense with a Fling Light Ball versus a Magic Bounce Espeon. We've got Frank's Suicune with Tailwind Reflect Eject Button in week 3. And then Jaden Slowking in week 8 with Modest Trick Room Weakness Policy, picking up 3 KOs with that. Pretty interesting. I like the contenders. I thought you guys did pretty good with the Heat this year. As I was going through the Heat contenders, there was a lot of quality Heat. There wasn't that much like insane 10 out of 10 holy shit balls as sometimes we've seen, but there was a lot of quality creativity, and I think this format really promoted that, and I think you guys really executed well in doing that as well. It was tough to pick a lot of the Heat of the weeks. It also, that reminds me, if you haven't checked, on the Season 7 doc, the Season 7 weekly awards are all input, so please go check if any of your Pokemon are there. SSSDL maintenance is going to be an all-time best moving forward, starting with stuff like weekly awards and Heat of the Weeks and stuff like that. So stay tuned, stay tapped. But for Heat of the Year, what do the voters value as the coolest thing from this season? It's going to be Frank's Suicune, you can see it here on the right, comes in on the back's caliber, already got +1 speed, skillfully dodges a scale shot, sets up a tailwind and a reflect, gets hit by the scale shot, and ejects out with the button into Typhlosion. And mama, there goes that man. Critical hit eruption. Mienshao comes out and also gets blown up by the eruption. Yeah, so I just thought that was pretty cool stuff. Although I don't think this would have worked. If that first scale shot hits, he would have just ejected out and not gotten to do the tailwind or reflect. But it was a skillful dodge by Suicune to win the game. And that's what's up. This was versus Haxon in week 3. You can see the paste over here from Beastbrook the Suicune. Eject button, max HP, max speed. Scald, Tailwind, Mirror Coat, Reflect. That's just a pretty cool set. I gotta give props. Frank did a lot of cool stuff this season. He ran Tailwind Suicune more than once. He ran Mirror Herb Swagger Suicune versus me in week 1. Both those times didn't. I mean, the other Tailwind worked pretty well. The Swagger one didn't work as well as bringing a myriad of other cool stuff this season. Terrifier, Burn Up, Typhlosion, Abomasnow existing, Sigil Lifted, cool stuff. So that gotta say, props to Frank for I think having overall the most heat season and I think overall the most heat pick. So big Suicune dub with the Tailwind, Mirror Coat, Reflect, Eject button sets. Moving on, we've got the most improved Pokemon of the season. We've got Rillaboom from Abash's Hearthome Haunters, Iron Boulder from McGriddlestowe's Bronx Bombers, and Salamence from Log's Liverpool Pokemon Club. Almost said the old one. Quick note, I think in future seasons, well, no, actually no, we'll get into that. Don't even worry about that. We've got Rillaboom, 5 games, 7 kills, 5 deaths, improving from 3 games, 1 kill, 1 death. And then we've got Iron Boulder, 7 games, 9 kills, 5 deaths, improving from 3 games, 1 KO, 3 deaths. And Salamence, 4 games, 8 KOs, 3 deaths, improving from 4 games, 1 KO, 4 deaths in Season 4. That's the last time it played. And your winner is going to be, I think this pick makes perfect sense. Give it a second to simmer though. Rillaboom from Abash's Hearthome Haunters is your winner. And I think there's a lot of reasons for this. I've got a context page set up right over here. Look at every other Rillaboom season. It's been drafted. Season 1, 14 points from John, 5 games played, 0 KOs, 5 deaths. Nice. Season 2, Wisdom, 13 points, 2 games played, 0 kills, 2 deaths. Season 4, John said, let me run it back. 2 games played, 1 KO, 2 deaths. Season 6, Frank gave a stab at it. 3 games played, 1 KO, 1 death. It has had a total of 2 KOs in 4 seasons played before this season. Rillaboom has been an atrocious fraud. This entire time. It has never made the playoffs, as you can see in that final column. It's never had more than 2 wins. It's never even played that many games besides John bringing it to 5 games in season 1. And I believe it was an LVP candidate in that season 1 too, being 5-0-5. This is the first time it's really done any of this positive stuff. First time it's had a positive diff. First time it's had multiple KOs in a single season. And contributed to a winning playoff team. So Abashta makes it work with Rillaboom, and I think that's impressive. And that's the most improved pick I've ever seen, based on the accumulation of this. And I think going forward, I'm going to be comparing Pokemon to their all-time averages rather than just their last seasons as well, because I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Because like Greninja, right, it was an LVP candidate this season. Or even Blaziken. I think they are easy picks to maybe be most improved next season. I think Greninja's already won most improved because it had an LVP caliber season into an MVP caliber season because it's a really good Pokemon. But if we're comparing them to their all-time averages, now that we have 7 seasons of sample size, wow, that kind of sounded like I was saying the league name. Or in most Pokemon's case, 6 seasons of sample size, because of Season 5 shenanigans. I think you've got enough to be like, wow, Rillaboom's been really fraudulent in SSSDL history. And so it's especially impressive when I find something like this, where a Bastion can pull it to a 7 KO season, where it's, I mean, near all SSSDL caliber. You see the defensive impacts there, you see the offensive impacts there, you see the winning aspects there. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's MIP. Next we got Rookie of the Year. We've got Steelix from Barrett's Earthmap Dustox, Rhydon from Jaden's Pro City Pink Urchins, and Sigilif from Frank's Richmond Rhyperiors. All three Terra Caps, all three have been nominated for something award. That's a lie. Sigilif hasn't been nominated for anything at this point. Is that true? Maybe it was a Terra Cap of the Year. I think so. Yeah, I think these have all been nominated at this point already, so I've already talked about them at length. Well, no, Rhydon probably hasn't. Hey, I'm feeling a little silly goofy today. We're balling. But yeah, who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose? Your Rookie of the Year for Season 7. It's gonna be Frank's Terra Sigilif. And you know, I usually am not a big fan of giving awards to stuff that really steamroll one game. Sigilif did have the 6-piece in Week 8. There's still value in a 6-piece. There's still plenty of value, but would I rather have a guy who has, you know, 9 KOs, 6 of them in 1 week, 2 of them in 1 week, 1 of them in 1 week, or would I rather have a Pokemon that has 2 KOs in almost every week? I think the 2 KOs is way more impressive. But Sigilif did play a lot of other games. It played 5 games total. And in those other 4 games, I thought it was still pretty notable. Like we said, it won 4 out of 5 games. And losing only to the number 1 seed in its debut game, Rookie Jitters. I think Sigilif pulled together a really great season, helped lead a pretty well-rounded team, but Frank made his first playoff appearance, and I think Sigilif was a big part of that in multiple of these games, in multiple of these wins. Sigilif, different Terra types, didn't Terra, Magic Guard, setting up, not setting up. It did its thing offensively and defensively. I mean, I'm going to go back to the stats here for a second, but 730% damage taken on 3 deaths. I do think it took like 200 or more of that in that Week 8 game, but still pretty impressive stuff to get this far. So I think Sigilif is a worthy Rookie of the Year this season. That's why it lands here. Now, we've got Defensive Pokemon of the Year. Nominees: Abashta's Petrarunt, Samkey's Slowking Galar, and Ryan's Regis Spiceful Mega Venusaur. I mean, you all know what these do. All defensive first team. Petrarunt took 1,200 damage taken, the most damage taken of any Pokemon this season. And then I believe Slowking Galar, just over 1,000 taken, 357 per its 3 deaths, 6 wins. Mega Venusaur in just 5 games played took 719 and won all 5 games it played in. So value your winning, value your damage per death, value whatever you want to value. Your winner for Depoy, it's going to go back to back. We've got Slowking Galar winning its 3rd Defensive Player of the Pokemon of the Year award. The first Pokemon to ever win 3. It and Alomomola were tied with 2. Both happen to be on Samkey's team this season. What does that tell you? I don't know. But Glowking put up a fantastic season defensively. And that is why it gets you here. Leads Sam to a 3-seed appearance on top of definitely one of the best defensive and hard to break teams in the league. I think everyone had a nightmare prepping into this team who had to play it, who had the misfortune playing into it. And Sam coaches that team very well, very skillful in his building, in his playing. And that's why Glowking gets up here. Now, we have a little bit of a mix-up. I'm going straight to the MVP, the most valuable Pokemon, the prestigious of prestige. Your nominees: Slowking Galar from Samkey's Go City Go-Go's, Mega Lopunny from Jaden's Pearl City Pink Urchins, and Chiyu from Ryan's Regis Spice. The top 3 seeds, all 3 7-1 coaches, led by their top dogs. The case, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this MVP vote. I think this was by far the hardest MVP decision that the voters have had to make. This is the closest race that I think this league has seen up until this point. There's usually a little bit of a breakaway, you know, Rhyperior was 17, 18 KOs. It was close last season, but, you know, there's that. You've got a Greninja with 17 or a Simisear with 16. There wasn't quite that upper ceiling. We had Johns with an Amherst with 14, but it's hard to be an MVP candidate when you don't make the playoffs. That's almost a requirement. You'd really, really have to do something insane to make MVP not making the playoffs. I don't even know if 20 KOs would do it. Maybe a candidate. I don't know if you could even be a winner though, because I think most valuable means you are important in multiple aspects of the game. You contribute to winning at the highest level in whatever your archetype means. And I think that's why there's an interesting amount of Mon's philosophy here in this MVP case. What do you value? If you're looking at Slowking here on the left, you value 1,000 damage dealt, 1,000 damage taken. Only the third or fourth time that's ever been done in SSSDL history. 10 KOs from a defensive Pokemon of the year caliber Pokemon is pretty crazy. Wins 6 out of its 7 games that it played, helped lead its team to the 3 seed. But on the contrary, for Slowking, you could say, well, the numbers are a little inflated. Regenerator Mons naturally are going to play in longer games and thusly do more damage and take more damage. And that's why it leads to some of those more inflated stats. So there's context behind every damage number. But does Slowking make that impact that's necessary? That's up for a voter to decide, right? Helps get to the 3 seed, 7-1. Mega Lopunny, your next philosophy bucket. 7 wins, 7 games played on the number 1 seed. The best Pokemon on the best team conversation is always there to be had for the MVP. Always notable. 12 KOs, was tied for second in the league, I believe. Only 1 death, plus 11 diff. Pretty crazy. 529% damage, though. Pretty atrocious on the contrary. You know, that could be viewed as kill farming. That could be viewed as whatever the voters think it is. And luckily, we have very dedicated voters here who don't just base their stuff off numbers. They don't just base it off damage numbers. They don't just base it off KOs or winning numbers. So I had the voters go back and look through every single game, watch every single game, note how valuable they thought these Pokemon were in every single game. Chi-Yu, a little bit of a mix of both, right? 7 games played, 7 wins on the number 2 seed, 100% win percentage. 10 KOs, so it gets a little less KOs than Lopunny, a lot more damage than Lopunny, a couple more deaths than Lopunny, on a similar winning situation as Lopunny. So your philosophy is minimum maximizing, minimizing, or a little in the middle with Chi-Yu. And so this was a tough one. Went through, I watched every single one of these games that these Pokemon played in, and I marked how valuable I thought they were, how much they contributed to winning. Because in the same way you can contribute Slowking's Regenerator to being a valuable asset, you can contribute Mega Lopunny's priority and its speed being a valuable asset and allowing to help win games. It forces KOs by being fast. Slowking, though, forces KOs by withering. They're both just very different. And it does lead to different numbers, but similar results, right? Mega Lopunny it only came to 7 games, right? It didn't come to that 8th game. And you know who that 8th game was against? That was against Samkey and Slowking Galar. Jaden decided not to bring it in that game. And I think that's a knock on an MVP case, is that the most valuable Pokemon should be coming to every game. If you got benched, how valuable are you? Granted, it's only 1 game. A lot of our MVPs have only played 7. Maybe even, there might have been a 6. I don't know what Xianpao and Lapras were doing back in the day. Same thing goes for Chi-Yu missing a game, damaging to the case. You're going, hold on. Slowking also missed a game. Slowking was a part of a forfeit win in week 7. Who knows what would have happened in that game? Probably would have made this MVP case a lot different. Maybe it goes 0-1, takes 100 damage, dies, and loses the game. Probably would take it out of the running for this award. In a serious manner, at least. But also maybe, you don't really want to speculate. I don't really know what the best league lore reasons for forfeits are. Ideally, we don't have any in the future, but the ideal is never super happening. But it's worth noting, I didn't dock Slow King points for missing that game the same way I dock Chiyu and Mega Lopunny points for missing that game. There's a lot to be said about this MVP, and I could yap on it forever because I spent a lot of time thinking about it, a lot of time discussing it, a lot of time watching these games, and I think there isn't necessarily a wrong answer. Overall, is my perspective. I was interested to see what the voters thought. I'm interested to see what you guys still think. If you think one of these other Pokemon got snubbed pretty hard from this MVP. But I'll quit yapping and I'll get on to the MVP. Who's on the edge of their seats? It's going to be Slowking from Samkey's Go City Go-Go. Slowking Galar pulls off the Depoy MVP double tap. Side note, not a lot of cool, high quality full art Slowking Galars. Might need to get the artists of the leagues on that because I had to pace Samkey over this coach. But this is Samkey orchestrating some devious pivoting with this squad. That's him on the left, coaching Glowking. Okay, you're gonna chill your reception 15 times this game. I'm playing. But yeah, I think Glowking indicatively, when I was watching the games, it was valuable in every single game it played. There were very few games where it was not valuable. It proved to me it was offensively caliber versus Barrett, ran the Calm Mind, Iron Defense set where it picked up 6 KOs, right? 6 of its 10 KOs did come in one game, but it's not even that, right? Because in the other 6 games it played, it was incredibly valuable both offensively and defensively, particularly defensively. I think I would definitely say Mega Lopunny was way more offensively valuable. I'd say Chiyu was more offensively valuable. But obviously neither of those Pokemon have any defensive value, really. How much does that matter in an MVP case? I don't know. How much does it value when you're contributing to winning? When I was going through, well, Slowking lived an important, Volcarona hit versus a Bastia. Allowed it to live, take down the +2/+2 threat, set up the Torterra easy win from there. I would say Slowking was honestly more valuable in that game where Torterra got 5 KOs because it dealt with the threat and Torterra just had to click a couple buttons. Torterra was obviously great in that game. And Torterra could have been an MVP candidate in its own right in another timeline, but Glowking was super valuable there, even if the numbers don't show it. There's a number of games where Glowking takes important hits, it does important chip damage, it sets up important trick rooms, it gets important pivots. I mean, you guys know what Glowking does, but fantastic season by Sam. I think Glowking's best ever season. That's why it's getting its first ever MVP. And I think there needs to be a serious conversation on how many points Glowking is worth, because it has notoriously been like a 16, 15, 14, 17 point Pokemon. You're looking at the league MVP. You're looking at a Pokemon that's made all defensive almost every single season. It's made all SSSDL like 3 times. I'm starting to think Glowking's kind of good. And maybe we've got to have some reframing on how many points it's worth over the course of being one of Supreme 7-Star Draft League's best ever performing players. But congrats to Samkey on bringing Glowking here, leading him to a 3 seed, leading him to the finals this season as well. But yeah, that's your MVP pick. Let me know if you guys think Mega Lopunny or Chiyu or Torterra deserved him more, and let me know why. I love hearing you guys' thoughts and your guys' theory crafting. As always, the SSSDL discussions go extremely hard. And I've got Coach of the Year after. We've got Coach of the Year between the 3 7-1 seeds. Ryan coaching the Regi Spice to a 7-1 plus 22 second seed season. Samkey and the Ghost City Go-Goats leading them to a 7-1 plus 23 seed season. And Jaden leading the Pearl City Pink Urchins to a 7-1 plus 23 1 seed. I do want to put in a very honorable mention, and that is Ystream, former Coach of the Year, if I remember correctly. I gotta drink some water. I just had a crazy voice crack. Pray for me. Thanks, gang. Crazy shout out to Ystream for getting the lowest point value team from the draft, getting a reroll in after week 3, rerolling Tinglu into Cinderace when you already have Ogerpon Hearthflame and Arcanine Hisui. Pretty brutal right there. And Weistrom still finds a way. I mean, Weistrom just a very talented player, a talented coach, finds a way to win. Wills that team to a 4-4 playoff performance. I believe it was the 7th seed. I can't remember. But yeah, so biggest shout outs to Weistrom. I think in a lot of other seasons, I would have totally been willing to nominate or even give Weistrom Coach of the Year for that performance. But it's tough when there are 3 7-1 coaches. All 3 of these coaches put together fantastic seasons. And I also think it's worth noting, none of them have won Coach of the Year. All 3 have been nominated for Coach of the Year before. None of them have won a Coach of the Year. So we will be having a new Coach of the Year this season. And I think there's a lot to be said about all 3 of these coaches and the performance they have put up this season. All 7-1. I believe this is the first time we've had 3 7-1 or better coaches in the same season. All with plus 20 diff or more, which is pretty crazy. All 3 of these single diff seasons rank within the top 10 total diff seasons, I believe. Pretty crazy on that. So the seeding between them is all a little different. As far as their 1-loss goes, Ryan's 1 loss, week 1 to Log. A 0-0 loss even. The second ever 0-0 game in SSSDL history. Ryan loses week 1, wins 7 straight to end the season. That says something about a coach's determination. Samke's 1 loss was to another Coach of the Year nominee, honorable mention. It was to Weistrom. It was a 5-0 loss, which was pretty stinky, which is why he ends up as the 3 seed. But when you think about that, plus 20, that was 5 diff he lost. If he got the same diff there as Ryan in a 0-0 loss, he would be plus 25, which would be pretty bonkers. But, Sam's 1 loss is to another talented coach. And then as far as Jaden goes, 1 loss is to Samke in week 3 in a super close 1-0 game as well. So all 3 of these coaches really had a pretty forgivable loss and then 7 impressive wins on top of that. Ryan and Sam both have a 6-0 this season, I believe. And I think, as far as, how much does your team matter in, what does the coach provide? Kind of like the Weistrom effect here, right? Weistrom had kind of what you would argue is a struggling team and at least objectively a low point value team. Put together a strong season. All 3 of these coaches had pretty strong teams from the Gacha draft. I believe Sam's was the highest in the entire league, and then mine was about a little above average. Ryan's was right there as well. I think all 3 coaches had pretty strong teams with some overlapping synergies on all of them. Well, actually, I don't know if Sam's team had any overlap besides a Fortress and a Melmetal, if you can even count that. But Ryan was dealing with having an Ogerpon and a Mega Venusaur, right? 2 high-tier grass types. How do you make them work together? He was dealing with having 3 flying types, a Staraptor, an Aerodactyl, and a Tornadus Incarnate. All do kind of similar things. Jaden had Mega Lopunny and Iron Valiant and Cobalion, which I would say there's quite a lot of overlap there. You can use them a little different, but fast fighting types. Ding, ding, ding. And, which of these coaches do I personally think deserve Coach of the Year the most based on the seasons they put out? It's going to be Jaden. Giving it to myself. My bad, gang. My bad. I think overall, the thing that moves me the most is I think my team had more holes than both Sam and Ryan's teams. And I think Sam had a pretty strong baseline, which is what, he had a really strong team people were pretty damn scared of the entire season. And so, it takes a little grit off your total Coach of the Year score. I think Ryan also had a pretty fantastic team. I think Ryan played really well, though. It was really hard deciding between me and Ryan for who should get this Coach of the Year. But ultimately, the voters did go with Jaden. Man, that's crazy. Now, I try and be as objective as I can with this stuff, and I think overall, number one seed, um, my only loss being to Sam in a 1-0 hour and a half long game versus the MVP Slow King, dismantling my squad. I think it is worth noting. Um, but I think overall I put together a pretty good scene with a team that only had one electric resistance for the entire season, as well as a couple other pretty glaring issues. I think most frustrating things for my team this season were that it was really hard to use Articuno or plus Slowking plus Samurott Hisui together because obviously you're going to prep for Slowking, and you might prep for it with an electric type, which my team's already going to struggle with. Or you might prep for it with a dark type or a ghost type, which also, if you're prepping for the Slowking, you're also prepping for the Articuno, which, was pretty brutal. On top of that, the grass type weakness between Slowking, my defensive pivots of Slowking, Samurott, and Rhydon overlapping, pretty brutal. All of my high tiers being weak to Fairy meant Scarf Psychics and Fairy types were pretty brutal to deal with. Flying types as well, pretty brutal to deal with. My Steel type I had two Steel types, neither of them resist flying, and Cobalion and Scizor, pretty brutal. But I definitely did have a very strong team. Scizor plus Slowking, pretty strong combo right there, I would say. Megalop was obviously fantastic to have that speed tier. My team was very fast, having booster speed Val. There's a lot of stuff that did make my team strong. But I do think there was a lot of holes in my team, and I personally did not expect to go 7-1 this season. And I think it is also, I think the thing that really moved me to put myself over Ryan in this situation was that I was coming off my 2-6 flop season where I performed awfully, and I think this was a provable bounce back. You never know when your streak of good luck may end, and or streak of playing well may end. You got to innovate, you've got to follow with the times, or else you get left behind in the grand scheme of things. And so following my 2-6 season with a 7-1 season, I think if it were not me, I would still give someone else this vote for the exact same reason. I think that improvement between seasons and maintaining previous consistency with a team that I think had some holes is what leads me here. I didn't want to put Coach of the Year before MVP because I know Sam would know if I gave myself Coach of the Year right before the MVP that he would know he's getting MVP on Glow King. So I had to keep some tension in the kid. But great season from Ryan and Sam as well. 100% deserving of a Coach of the Year award as well, and Wystrom as well. And a couple other people I think put together pretty cool seasons. Frank could have been a nominee in a lot of other seasons, making his first playoff appearance. Barrett making second playoff appearance in 2 seasons. Notable, very notable on both those coaches. It's so hard to make these picks sometimes. And I wish there was more space that I could give love to everyone in the league because I genuinely want to. But also you want to keep a level of prestige, right? I want to see you guys improve. I want to see you guys play as good as you can and earn it. I love seeing when someone like Frank has a couple of bad seasons, and I know Frank's got it in him, and he pulls it together and puts together like a 5-3 season. That's great. So I'm always rooting for you guys at all times, always. Now we've got the season over-unders. We're going to try and fly through these. I've spent 49 minutes yapping already. This is definitely the longest awards video ever, and you know what? I'm not upset about it. I'm having a good time. We've got John with the Edmonton Emolgas. Did I change team color? Okay, don't worry about that. We've got John. He had an over-winder. I think I'm just going to keep John at 3 wins flat until the rest of time because it is just kind of funny. Unless it's bothering you, John. Let me know if it's bothering you. That I give you a little special treatment there. John hits the 3 lines win though. 53% of people get that one correct. His side bet for Iron Thorn's direct damage, 349. Zero damage in 2 games for Iron Thorns. Oops. So 66% of people get that one right. We had 15 people do the season pick'ems this season. One of them was Wisdom, though, who wasn't even playing. Shout out Wisdom for that. That's dedication. 2 people who didn't do it. I didn't check, but please do it next time. Please, please, please. I really value when people are participating. I don't really care if you play good or you play bad. That's not what I value in terms of being an SSSDL, but participating in weekly pick'ems, in season pick'ems, in chatting and stuff like that, and being a good sportsmanship, that's the stuff I value. So please keep that in mind in the future. But yeah, John hits the even, and he hits the under on the side bet. Next, we got Sam, who jumped up to the second pick. Do not forget that. Holy crap. Gonna hit 80% of people vote for the over of 4.5. He hits it with 7. His side bet for pivot moves used of 18.5. I think that was a high line to give. 33 pivots. What the heck? So I guess it was a bad line. Everyone hit the over on it too. So I guess if I'm to do something like that again on a team that has Fortress Volt switches, Aloe flip turns, Slowking Chili receptions, and a couple other Meowscarada U-turns, notably. Maybe I should have done a little more. Sam did have 2 games where he only used 1 pivot move total, as well as a game he didn't play in week 7 because of the forfeit. But there was a game where he used 12. There was a couple like 6s in there, if I remember right. I remember while I was counting, I was like, oh, wow, he might not make it. And then I hovered over Aloe and I saw it use flip turn 7 times in one game. I was like, all right, we're getting there. Next, we've got Fletch. Had an over-under of 2.5. Just barely doesn't hit it at 2 wins. 40% of people get that one correct. And side bet, this was the best line this season. Curum Black direct damage, 599.5. 605. Hit that over, Fletch. Hit that over. Just barely with Curum Black. First time Curum Black's had a pretty notable season. I'm interested to know what Fletch's thoughts on using Curum Black were. As it may decrease in points going forward. I mean, we really haven't seen much out of Curum Black to this point. I don't think I've prepped against it. I don't think I've had to play against it. So I don't really know what I think in terms of prep value. I don't know. As a thought. We got Ryan, who jumped up to the 3rd pick. Do not forget. Had an over-under of 5.5, which is a high bar to meet. And he exceeded. 7 wins. Maintained the excellence that the Regi Spice are known for. 40% of people get that one right. 60% doubters come out on the L. Side bet, flying type KOs between his 3 flying types of Aerodactyl, Tornadus Incarnate, and Terra Staraptor. I was also willing to consider KOs from a Terra Flying Palisand, but there were none. 10.5 KOs, only gets 5. Staraptor was one of the bigger disappointments this season in terms of offensive value. A lot of people put it for Terra Captain of the Year. Picked up like 2 KOs in week 8, and that was that's it. Yep, 5 total KOs on the flying types. Now we've got Steven in the Little Rock Lycan Rock with a 4.5 line, hits the 2 wins, goes under. 53% of people get that one correct. Had a side bet of Greninja Battle Bond boosts of 1.5. Did not get any this season. It looked like Steven preferred Protean Greninja, and that's fine. Who cares about the side bet? Personally, I like Battle Bond more, but that's just me. Different coaches, different play styles. No Battle Bonds for Steven. Greninja also didn't have a great season, so you could kind of expect that. Next, we've got Abashta and the Hearthhome Haunters. Mr. 12 had a line of 3.5. Hits the over. 5 wins. 80% of people get that one correct. The believers believed, and they believed truly. Had a side bet. I think this was the most creative side bet this season. Number of 500% damage taken Pokemon on the team. I made this the line because when I'm looking at Mr. 12's team, he had a lot of bulky mons, a Terrawochian, a Screamtail, Ursaluna, Blood Moon, a Rillaboom, a Petrarunt. I didn't even name Petrarunt yet, the Depoy candidate. And I thought, but then when I was typing this out for the award show and I saw the line was 4.5, I was like, yo, that's kind of steep for 500 damage taken. Nope. Mr. 12 hits it with 6 with 500 damage taken. over 500, and it was nearly 7, I believe, too. There was like a 459 in there as well. So good to know for next time, but double over for Mr. 12. Now we got McGriddleso and the Bronx Bombers with a line of 3.5. Just barely comes out short with 3 wins. The 73% of doubters get it correct. Had a side bet of Dragon types moves used with a Latios and a Komao and a Cyclizar, I believe. That sounds right to me. Had a line of 7.5. Four Dragon type moves used. I believe there was, this is individual counts. If you used Draco Meteor 10 times, you would have hit the over. But Latios never used a Dragon move this season. Komao used a Clangorous Soul once. I saw Dragon Tail in there once. Yeah, there was not a lot of Dragon moves being used over in the Bronx this season, and that's chill. But the 13% of doubters get the side bet right. Now we've got Jaden and the Pearl City Pink Urchins. Over underline of 5.5, coming off of a rough season. The line still stayed high because of the averages, and he managed to hit the over with the 7 wins. 60% of believers get that one correct. The side bet was fighting type moves used with the 3 fast fighting types, although counts all fighting type moves used across the team. Had a line of 9.5, 15 fighting moves used over. Which I thought it was going to be a little closer, but it turns out I used close combat on Lop a little more than I thought I did. And I used like counter on Rhydon. I used Focus Blast once with Val. I think its only fighting move this season. I used close combat in the playoffs. I used a couple body presses with Cobalion. I think that's it. No Sacred Swords with Samurott, but hit the over. 66% of believers get that right. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. Richmond Rhyperiors and the Frankelroy. 2.5 line, smashes it, doubles it. 5 wins, 53% of believers get it correct. Side bet on Great Tusk with Spectre KOs at 15.5. They just needed 8 each, or 1 with 9, 1 with 7, something like that. A 10 and a 6. Don't get there. They had 10 total. Tusk was forced or coached into a more defensive role this season, which is why it made all defensive second team. Spectre made all SSSDL team. So I would say in no point is this indicative of a disappointing season for either of those Pokemon. But the 33% of doubters get it correct. I think it was especially notable because Frank got like 12 KOs with Great Tusk last season, but different teams require different role playing. Wisdom and the Atlanta Braveries, this was a Chickadee line, but I believe their lines would have both been 2.5 at the beginning of the season, so I thought I'd just let it ride. Sometimes I avoid these type of situations, but I thought I'd let this one ride. So the 46% of people who put the over on Chickadee / Wisdom get it correct. The side bet was for Mega Sableye Magic Bounces, 0. I don't know if it was Chick or if it was Wisdom, but they were not Megaing the Sableye, like, ever. I saw it Mega, like, twice. It played, like, 70% of its turns as normal Sableye, which I know it has value there, but that is why we did not hit the over. So 86% of doubters get it right. Tony Buchanan in his first SSSDL season with a over-under of 2.5 wins. That is the standard line. Unfortunately, comes out with the under after the week 1 victory, rattles off 7 losses, and had a strong fan base of believers at 73%. They'll come up short. Side bet, Mega Heracross, Thug Bug, fan favorite of the year direct damage for 49.5. Brother, that says over. Okay. that is over for 49. Okay, Mega Heracross is a over. I will go back and make sure that doesn't affect the preseason pick'em leaderboard afterwards, but I don't remember. It might move some of the placements, but I believe first place had a solid gap over second place, so it shouldn't matter too much. Next, Samish, also making their SSSDL debut. The Critique Big Nuggets had a line of 2.5. Just barely come out short at 2. The 33% of doubters get it correct. Had a side bet of Shadow Ball uses between Blacephalon and Goldengo, 2 high-tier ghost types, of 10.5. They just needed to use 5 or 6 each. 8 total Shadow Balls on the season, so the 46% doubters get it correct. Next, we've got Wisher of the Aussie Arcanines, had a line of 5.5. 60% of people doubted, and they would be right to do so. 5.5 is a prestigious line for a prestigious player, and Wisher came out of the draft with a shaky-looking team. Still got it to 4 wins. Very impressive, like I've said earlier. But the 60% of doubters get this one correct. And I think people were just doubting mostly on that team comp. And a side bet of grass-type Pokemon KOs of 13.5. This is between an Ogerpon Hearthflame, a Kartana, and at one point, Terra Electrode Hisui. They come in at just 9 KOs. Electrode didn't get any. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to use those guys over and over together because they get checked by similar things, maybe. I don't know. Ask why stream. Next, we've got Barrett in the Dirtmouth Dustox with a line of 4.5. Just barely comes into the under. A lot of people seemed to doubt on this one. 4 wins under. They'll get correct on that one. Side bet was Mega Kangaskhan KOs. I could have been a little more creative than that, right? Next season, guys. Don't let me do that. At least something slightly more interesting. I don't know. Maybe that's fine. What do you guys think of the side bets? Do we like them? Do we not like them? Do we think they're kind of lame? Do we think they should be cooler? Are they fine as is? You guys, I kind of want you guys to nominate your own side bets as well next season. If you're feeling like you see a cool one on your team, let me know. Had a line of 4.5. Kang only got 3 this season. Barrett, a little bit more of a spread player, spreads the value between his whole team. And yeah, so the spotlight doesn't always go on one character. Next, we've got Haxon, former champ, former runner-up. Had a line of 4.5, just barely comes out on the under. 60% of people believed, and they were wrong. 40% get it correct. Had a side bet of electric moves used. This was probably the worst line I set, unless you count the Iron Thorns one. Had a line of 23.5, only used 8. This is between a Terra Jolteon, a Sandy Shocks, and a Rotom Heat, which I thought were all electric types that would get play for different reasons, so that's why I gave it a high line. I thought they'd just be spamming Volt Switch, but I guess ground types come enough that you don't want to spam Volt Switch. But I thought Terra Jolteon would just be doing other stuff as well, and I thought Shocks could be hazards and Rotom could be defensive, so I thought they had enough utility to play with each other, but maybe not. Ask Haxon. But double under on that one. And last we've got Logan. I didn't change the team, guys, we're an hour in. Just stick with me on this one. Always notice it at the last second, though. Always do. Okay, we got Log, and god damn, he's a fucking champ too. Okay. 93% of people hammered the over on 4.5, and Log does sneak in with 5 wins, just barely on that over. Will that move his line to a 5.5 next season? We'll see. We'll see what the math says. The lines are all set based on your previous performance. It's just your total regular season wins divided by seasons played, and then rounding from there. Log had a new side bet that I had never tried before. Final seed over under of 3.5. So if he was the 3, the 2, or the 1 seed, that would have been considered the over as specified on the Google form. So please, you can't blame me for not understanding the concept of this one. So 53% people get it right. I think it's interesting that 53% of people thought that he would be the 4 seed or lower, but a lot of those people were willing to smash the over on this. Do you guys think the side bets should be next to the coach? Because maybe people forget, because it's a long Google form. I do understand that. I do get that. But people were willing to smash the over on the wins. Maybe people were splitting up their votes. Maybe people just didn't put that much thought into it, which is pretty understandable. But the 53% of people get that one right. Now we've got some of the individual things. We had Mega Medicham. I forgot to put the Pokemon. You weren't even going to remember. Mega Medicham had a line of 6.5, just barely comes out under with 6. 20% of people get that right. That's from Steven's team. Palafin from the 2 Cannons had a line of 8.5. A former MVP candidate comes out with 6 this season on the 1-7 squad. Iron Bundle had a line of 8.5 with Samish. Both debut coaches got one of these individual things. 8.5 line hits 9, hits the over, was all SSSDL 3rd team, maybe 2nd, I think 3rd. It was right next to Boulder, I remember that. But hits the over. 53% of people get that one correct. Next we have Terra Jolteon, had a line of 7.5. I thought it was actually going to be one of the stronger Terra caps, only finds 5. Maybe because of the electric type overlap. I don't know. And then we had the season parlay. Volcarona plus Rillaboom plus Ursaluna Blood Moon KOs at 18.5. Abasha hits the over with 22. 80% of people voted for the over on that one. I feel like this is probably the worst parlay line I've set. Usually we're a little closer, but I think it's still close enough. Especially considering Rillaboom, most improved candidate, Volcarona, all this SSDL performance. Ursaluna was, not far from that conversation either. 5 and 5. Versatile offense and defense. I believe it was 5 and 5. I'm starting to memorize these stats. Yep, but over 80% of people right there. Pokemon with 10 or more KOs. 60% of people get it correct. It was 9. Had an over. And the amount of 6 O's this season. Line of 2.5. We had 3. We had Log 6-0ing Haxen with Salamence on turn 1. We had Samkey 6-0ing Barrett with the Galarian Slowking MVP. And we had Ryan 6-0ing Tony Toucannon. These are all off the top of the dome. I think they're all right, though. I think Ryan was mostly a Mega Venusaur situation there. 40% of people get that one correct. And then we've got new playoff teams. Over under teams that did not make the playoffs last season. So that will be 3 of them. Jaden at number 1, Frank at number 4, and Abasha at number 6 did not make playoffs last season. Frank making first appearance ever. Abasha and Jaden have made it before. And then playoff predictions. A lot of stuff to garner in here. Take a gander. Look for yourself. Look for your votes if you remember them. I'll go through the notable stuff. 15 out of 15 submissions picked Log to make playoffs. 13 of them picked Sam. 14 of them picked Jaden despite missing the playoffs last season. 13 picked Haxen. Haxen did miss playoffs, so the biggest first round disappointment this season. Fletch was the only person not to get a vote this season, unfortunately. Barrett, the biggest surprise in terms of voting. 1 vote makes playoffs. Moving on, and then obviously the other people I didn't mention. Ryan with 11, Frank with 3 making his first appearance, Ystream with 12. People still believed in Wise making playoffs, 12 out of 15. Yeah, I think that's everyone. Semifinals predictions for eliminated. 14 out of 15 people picked Logan to make it. 13 out of 15 Jaden, 10 out of 15 for Samkey, and 3 out of 15 pick Abasha to make semifinals. And those are your semifinals coaches. Ryan and Ystream are the biggest disappointments of round 2 with 5 and 4 votes respectively. And I guess, yeah, the biggest surprise would be Mr. 12, who has made semifinals before. And then we've got the finals predictions. 15 responses. 8 of them picked Log to make it. 7 of them picked Sam Key to make it. By far the 2 most picked people. By far, and they were the 2 people who made it. Biggest disappointment will be me with 3 votes here, and there's no biggest surprise here. Yeah, and champion prediction. Whoa, no! Champion prediction. 5 people picked Sam out of the 15 responses. 3 people picked Logan, and Logan was, of course, our champion this season. Notable other people getting votes: Ystream, Tony, Jaden with 2, Abasha with 2, even though 3 semifinal votes, right? It was 3 semis. 3 semis predictions into 2 finals predictions into 2 champ predictions. The abashed believers. Steven had a vote, former runner-up, and yeah, that's all your votes. Interestingly, no Ryan votes, no Haxen votes, former champ. Yeah, I feel like John usually gets a vote too. But as far as your results, if you are a loser scumbag and went and paused when I accidentally flipped to the page, lame. But the winner, It's actually me at 42.5. I think that is the highest anyone has ever put up in a single season, although there may have been more categories. I don't really know. But pretty crazy because I know for a fact I got 22 last season. I got dead last season. So Jaden will be getting an extra point next season towards their draft budget. Exciting. Steven, a notable 36.5. Hexen, 35.5, tied with Log at 35.5. Sam and Wise at 35. And you can read the rest. But Frank does come in last at 24. I believe he was the one who picked Tony Toucannon to be the champion. Yeah, so another successful season. Let's give a little congrats to our boy, Man of the Hour, Log Monster, and the Liverpool Pokemon Club for winning Season 7 championship. Their third ever championship in 4 seasons. Pretty crazy. Log has never lost a playoff game. 9-0 in the playoffs. No one can hold a candle to that. I think it's pretty undisputed now that Logan has the best statistical career in SSSDL history as of right now. Obviously, you've got to maintain that. You can lose your throne just as quickly as I did after my first 2 chips. I haven't done too much. Livestream, obviously, a big part of that conversation as well for all-time GOATs. Samke's starting to make a case. Everyone can make a case. All it takes is rattling off a couple good seasons, right? And I want to see everyone succeed. And I think Logan's really grown as a player, pretty far away. I'll give some flowers to, at least when I was first playing with Logan in Season 3, you know, he put up a stinker in Season 3 with the Mono Dark team. And I think, you know, I don't think I gave Logan the respect he deserved, even after the Season 4 chip win. But I think Logan deserves plenty of flowers here with the Liverpool Pokemon Club, and Tapu Koko putting up the probably craziest single SSSDL game if you haven't seen the game. I mean, don't watch the whole thing. It was 100 turns. But Koko was in there for like 80 of them. Most that's not true, but did use all 8 roosts. But yeah, Koko 6K in the finals. We may never see something like that again. Logan went down 3-6 early and brought it back to the 3-0 victory behind Tapu Koko, behind Iron Moth, behind Big Scald Burns. There was a little bit of RNG involved in this game, but I think overall it definitely leaned towards Samke. It was still a great finals game. I always love the finals. The finals, you know, when people are putting their whole heart into it, putting together good stuff, putting their best effort. And also notable, look at Firo up there on the top left. Gets an honorary ring, even though it was cut from the squad in reroll week 3 into Terra Glaceon down there in the bottom left. But yeah, I think Logan had a fantastic team. I think played fantastically with it. Mandibuzz and Necrozma, all defensive. Most improved candidate, Salamence, all SSDL for Iron Moth. Not Moth, Tapu Koko. I don't know. Have webs, you got Hoopa. Pretty cool stuff. This was a cool team. Salamence had the 6-piece in week 7. Lots of cool stuff here. But yeah, once again, congratulations to Log Monster and the Liverpool Pokemon Club. You will be immortalized in SSSDL history. The first ever 3-time champion. Also, maybe the first ever 5 seed to win finals. Might have to go fact check that one later. Forgive me for the quality of this graphic too. There was no good shiny Tapu Koko sprites in that. That was the shiny captain, and I wanted to respect that. But yeah, that basically wraps everything up. We've got the All-Star game. It will be me versus Sebastian as the semi-finalist losers. And we will be drafting from the 18 Pokemon, hopefully here soon in the next week or so. From Mega Lopunny to Meowscarada, all of these Pokemon are viable to be drafted. We will play 9 versus 9. Hopefully just have a good time. There's no stakes other than having a good time. We'll draft from these pools, play against each other. That's what's up. But yeah, overall, thank you guys. Another fantastic season. Definitely the longest awards ceremony, but I was just kind of having a good time with this one. Um, Feeling good in the morning after a successful SSSDL season. Feeling good about the future of SSSDL and so many great ideas. I guess worth noting, if you happen to be here, I mean, if you have made it this far in the video, you're probably one of the people I've been chatting with about what we're doing next. But if you aren't, we're just going to summarize. I think as far as future plans go, I am really curious to see what happens on Pokemon Day later this month. Could be a shadow drop of Pokemon Champions, and if that happens and we get the new Legends EA Megas with their factual abilities and movesets, then I feel pretty good about running Season 8 with them and just waiting a couple weeks to do that. I have them all coded on the dock, ready to go. I mean, there will be some tiering shifts. I would love to run some speed tours before then as well with them, just so we can try out some new stuff, especially some of the new ones we haven't been able to test at all. You know, the Heatrans, the Darkrai's, the Garchomp Z's of the world. I'm starting to get the hiccups. Pray for me. But I'd love to test out some of those in the meantime. And if Champions doesn't get a release date, we're just going to roll straight into Season 8 anyways, whatever that format may be. Probably standard? I don't know. We'll have some thinking to do about if Champions doesn't come out. If we do get another release date, if it's like in a month, I don't know. There'll be some. We'll see what we do. We might run another season, but I'm pretty interested in the idea of playing with the new megas when possible. And if it's just later than that, we're just gonna run a season anyways. But in the meantime, we have concepts of a team off-season tournament style season. So be ready for that. If you're interested in playing, I will be putting out applications probably in the next 2 or 3 days, putting together a doc for it, putting together whoever wants to play. I will allow basically as many people want to play. I think, I don't know, we'll see. Probably need 16 actually. But yeah, we'll be doing something fun in the meantime. Don't expect, I have no plans for SSSDL to be inactive, whether that's we're doing a team tour, whether that's we're doing speed tours, whether that's we're doing other events, tournaments, challenges, fun stuff. Be around. The community is always here for people to participate, even if you're one of the people that doesn't join voice calls and stuff like that as often. We always welcome you. Definitely do. Or if you just want to be muted, if you want to just be typing in chat, I still invite you to participate. I really care about all you guys, and I view you all as friends and Samkey. And yeah, love SSSDL, love you guys. 7 seasons of 7-star draft league. Wow, pretty crazy. And I think we're it's gonna be 2 years in March of SSSDL running around, so pretty exciting stuff. We've got a pretty cool all-time doc now. We've got pretty cool players now. I just love this stuff. I love Pokemon. I love my friends. I love SSSDL. With that said, if you somehow manage to stay through an hour and 18 of me yapping, wow. But thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for enjoying SSSDL as much as I do. Makes it even better for me. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for playing. And Season 7, 7-star draft league, finished.